Hey, what's going on, brothers and sisters? Eric Rosen here, your internal strength coach, here to show you how to overcome your greatest challenges so you can shine your brightest light. It is Thursday, February 28, 2019. It's the last day of February. Spring is hopefully right around the corner here in the Midwest. So let's talk today about building yourself outside of conformity. This is going to be more about stepping into your true, authentic self, the person that you were meant to be before the shackles of society and things that you were told that you could and couldn't do, especially set into your belief system and my belief system as well. I'll be honest, that's been kind of the journey the past several years, is like unlearning a lot of shit that is actually not true. And one of the prevailing things that is not true is that you have to model yourself a certain way in society in order to fit in order to not upset the proverbial status quo. So let's talk about this. It's about being authentic, right? It's about showing up as your true self and finding your freedom in that too, because there really is freedom in just being yourself. It may seem scary to do when you start to step outside of what your friends and family and even people at your work have gotten used to seeing you and as someone who fits in. But regardless of how scary it looks, it's actually just that's all it is. It's just invisible fear. Because on the other side of that is that freedom of just being able to be the person that you really are. And fundamentally, we're all like inherently good people. No one is incarnated on this earth in evil, I believe. So, getting back to your true authentic self is going to result in, you basically being in your heart. And it may be a version of yourself that you may have trouble accepting at first. It may be a little bit flamboyant. It may be, you may find that your aligned self is not even the person that you've been, which can be super scary for your ego, kind of letting go of that. It could come up as, you want to be in a completely different group, socializing with other people. It could come through as different sexual orientation, just all kinds of things. So, subscribing to these social constraints and these expectations is only going to inhibit you from, discovering this true authentic self. So I think you owe it to yourself to find out who that really is. So, it dims our light. This is what really we're talking about when we're talking about authentic self, is that light that makes you feel awesome and joyful, but it also attracts other people. People are drawn to the light inside of you. They're not drawn to the character that you portray. Like maybe other people that are portraying characters will be drawn to that, but other like true authentic people are going to be drawn to that light. So what would you rather have? Like people that are playing characters and aren't really being real to who they are, or people that just show up and like, this is truly who I am. We don't have to fuck around and pretend and be somebody that we're not. We are who we are, and we accept each other. I mean, it sounds pretty great. So, letting that light out and shining it, no matter what the consequences, no matter what, you know, if it's going to upset people, people might try to guilt you depending on, whatever it is that you're going for. But you got to stay true to yourself, because otherwise you're not really living your life for you. You're living it for these societal constructs. You're living it for these other people in your life that want to see you be a certain way. Don't be afraid to upset them. Let me say that again. Do not be afraid to upset people in your life if you're exploring who you really are. Now, we're not talking about like a violently rebellious, version of yourself. You might be headed in the wrong direction in that case. Adolescent teens come to mind, like with that, where they're really just having a hard time. We're talking about, especially as adults, when we've been living our lives a certain way for a long time, and that's we've adapted for survival's sake, right? Because that's what this has all been about is the status quo. It's survival. It's so that we don't have to live in a place of fear on what's going to happen with our peers around us if we behave a certain way. So, this is your true power. This is your freedom to be you. So, one way you can, help yourself find this too is if you find yourself getting into a state of overthinking. If your mind's going nuts, if it's going a little bit crazy, you're trying to figure things out. One, you need to stop, slow down, learn to start to trust the flow of life, simplify and become aware of your thoughts, and just allow that to be the gateway for connecting with your light. Because what's really going on when you're in your head and you're overthinking is you're trying to figure things out basically in an external environment. Your mind is trying to process everything that it's seeing, everything that it's thinking, and it's not really going internally, going intrinsically into yourself, into your heart, into your intuition to like connect with that light, to know who you really are. So overthinking is never going to get you to a place of being authentically who you are and your light. If anything, I would even go far as to say that a lot of times overthinking is when what you've learned, what you've been taught, the person that we've played for all these years is actually clashing with this truer version of ourselves inside that's like trying to get out. And so the way to connect with that is to quiet the mind and let those, really deeper emotions and just, heartfelt, intuitive feelings like rise to the surface, and then start to play around with those things. And sometimes you got to face, because with our authentic selves too, it's not always light. Sometimes you have to go and you have to see the shadow version of yourself as well to, see what else is there, because we all have that within inside ourselves. But when you can learn to embrace that shadow side of yourself and see that ultimately it was developed out of, just the survival of all these years, that's when you can really step out into your light. And even people that have figured this out of being authentic, like owning your shadow side is still authenticity. This isn't all about being fluffy and light and happy and loving like all the time. Like, even as I've been developing and letting my light out more, still there's occasions that I feel that it calls for, letting my shadow side out. This example comes to mind. It's like if you are getting to a situation, where someone's, threatening, your friend or family member, do you send them, love and kindness as this assailant is acting, threatening these people that you love, or, does your shadow side come out to defend them? Think about that. Maybe a little bit of an extreme case, but nonetheless, there is a time and a place for your shadow side. So perhaps digressing some, but really, guys, what this all really comes down to is giving yourself permission to start to explore who you really are. And I think the best way to do this is when you start to play with this and you start to have these thoughts about, well, I can't do this because, or no, that'll never work because this person, or I don't have the skill. Fuck all that. What you need to really do is start at the beginning with your imagination and develop a vision. How would life be if you didn't have any of these constraints that you developed through society, through, your experiences, and start with that. And that is a beautiful thing, because when you can start to work with that and remove those constraints, then you can start to develop a new thinking pattern, a new subconscious thinking pattern, and a new belief structure. If you go out and start to apply this vision that you have and start to experiment and play with kind of this almost like scientific hypothesis of like, I wonder what if I actually went out and, did something that I've really wanted to do, but I don't feel like it was appropriate to do, and just seeing what that does for you. just start with something small. So, all right, you guys take care. I will catch you tomorrow. Personal training, coaching's available. Feng Shui consultations are now available. If you want me to feng shui your home or business to, harmonize the energy in your home, make it feel awesome, or your business, I'm your guy. So you can hit me up on here. My website, ericrosencoaches.com, and of course my email, ericrosencoaches@gmail.com. All right, you guys take care.